So when you get in trouble, what do? You call somebody with local knowledge. Wanting to find out more about what's happening in the Caribbean during this pandemic and getting in and out of the islands, I called the man who writes the guidebooks, Chris Doyle. Both of us shared a conversation on Zoom recently, he in his cabin in Vermont and me in my house on the coast of Maine. The reception wasn't that good for either of us, but we managed to have a nice chat. Here's Chris. Good morning, Chris. Is that you? Okay.
That's me.
That's you. Well, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I have been reading you for years. Now I get to talk to you. I've talked many times about you with my friend Larry on the Dove. And I just got a message from him today about what's going on in Trinidad. And he says they don't trust the government down there. Larry tells me that it's getting expensive to travel between the islands now. What with testing and the prices?
Oh, very much so. But I don't know. I mean, yes, it's expensive. I mean, it's even expensive to get down there. If I want to get from here, if I want to get I got to get a PCR test 3 days before within 3 days before I go. The only place I know that will reliably do that in a very short time is $250, which is really expensive. But Grenada's been good. They just reduced. They were charging $150 for a PCR test, which was compulsory when you came in, and they've reduced that to $50 now, which is better. That's US dollars.
That's reasonable.
So that's a little better. But then you've also got, apart from that, most places you have to quarantine at least for a couple of days because the way things are working. Now, I'm not saying this is true of every island. Things change all the time. You have to keep up with it. But the very usual procedure is you arrive, they give you a COVID test, and you have to wait until you get the result of that before you're free to go. And while you're waiting, which is only a couple of days, you've got to be on a quarantine mooring, which you have to pay for. Then in some islands, you have to use an agent, which again adds expense. So yeah, what it means is you don't jump from island to island with the speed or ease you used to. You have to plan your cruising carefully and spend as much time in one country as you can so that you're not always, running through borders.
This is, as you said, this is going to slow down the romp through the islands that I had described earlier.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right now it is just not the same. And I mean, the islands have got to do what they can to keep people safe, but I don't know what the Bermuda situation is, but Grenada, it went so local that I'm wondering how much difference. I mean, obviously they still got to test people coming in, but you wonder with 5,000 people having contracted in the islands, how much difference is it making when a few more come in? And basically we've got to get over this virus one way or another. The most sensible way is for people to vaccinate.
Yeah. Now, this would be helpful for you because you know the island so well. If you were to go charter a boat for 2 weeks, or you were going to get your boat down to one of the islands, you say you go to Antigua, or you go to St. Martin, which the two rallies go to, which are the islands that you could actually use up 2 weeks to explore? I mean, you could do a week to do St. Martin. 10 days to 2 weeks in the Virgin Islands is normal. The French islands are limited in their facilities. I mean, Guadeloupe's only got one harbor on the west side.
No, Guadeloupe, you can cruise for 2 weeks in Guadeloupe easily. It's on the west side there are actually 3 anchorages, but you've got the Saints, which is a lovely group of islands. You've got Marie Galante, you've got Ile de la Petite. Then you've got the whole of the big North Sound up in the north end. And then, of course, you've got the whole south coast with quite a few anchorages along there. No, I mean, Guadeloupe, you could cruise for weeks very easily. Hang out in Martinique.
Yeah, I did. I spent almost a month in St. Anne 2 years ago.
Oh, there you go. Many people do. St. Anne is full of boats.
Yes, upper 200. Where else? Antigua and Barbuda. That would be worth. That'd be worth a couple of weeks, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Barbuda especially. I could spend a week in Barbuda without even
Blinking.
without even thinking. It's just lovely up. I don't know whether with COVID, I haven't been to St. Martin since COVID's been going on. I don't know what they do about the French-Dutch side, where they've made it any more difficult when you're cruising around St. Martin than it used to be. You used to just ignore all that, but I don't know what the situation is now.
When Larry was there this last summer, he said it was difficult to check in by boat, but you could drive across the border
Oh, right.
by
Okay.
car. But St. Martin, just on the, well, there's not much really on the Dutch side. There is a few nice places on the French side. But then if you wanted to go over to Anguilla, that would be clearing in and clearing out again.
I'm sure it would, and I don't know what the regulations are there, though. I will say that Anguilla has a very high vaccination rate, so I don't think they have much COVID there, which is nice.
Good. And then, Anse Calimbert, I've spent a week in Anse Calimbert in St. Bart's.
Oh, Colombier? What I call Anse Colombier?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Anse de Colombier in the north end. Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah. And then you got Gustavio. So that's worth a week, especially if you like the French jet set to hang around with.
But you also got Ile Fourchou, which is very nice.
Yeah.
That's that little island just off. So you can get a little time there. It's not as big as many places. You don't have as many anchorages as like the Grenadines. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, of course, is a huge place to hang out for a long time. You have a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah.
And Grenada, funnily enough, because you got Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And Grenada has a ton of anchorages, and Carriacou has a few, and Petit Martinique has one. You got an awful lot of there. You can cruise there for a couple of weeks if you really want to. Just do what everyone else does: sit down and live.
Larry and Justina on the Dove spent months.
Oh, Chatham Bay.
Chatham Bay.
No,
right.
Chatham.
Yeah, they spent 3 months there.
Chatham Bay.
Yeah.
Well, you can do that.
The chartering options for bareboat chartering doesn't exist that much further south. You can pick up boats in St. Vincent.
You have to check with the charter companies what they've done to get people in and out. But St. Vincent would be a great place to charter from because you've got plenty of, your easy reach of a lot of really good cruising there, and plenty of anchorages to go to. You can spend a couple of weeks there easily. But yeah, I'll be going. I don't know how far I'll get next season. I don't have any big plans, but I'll go down, start in Grenada, and I'll certainly then head north somewhat.
Good. Well, maybe I'll run into you this next winter down there. So I will thank you right now for spending the time with me today. And I'd like to have another couple of chats with you because there's so many things we could kick around about what's going on down in the Caribbean and all those beautiful islands. So thank you very much, you old Vermonter, you.
Okay, well, very nice to talk with you.
And I will chat with you soon. Thanks very much, Chris. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.